Under Rule 8, which form is required to seek the conversion of a company's status from dormant to active? Form MSC4. If a dormant company performs an act that affects its status, within how many days must the directors file an application for active status? 7 days. Under Section 406, what is the primary object of a NIDI company regarding its members? Cultivating the habit of thrift and saving amongst its members. What is the minimum required paid-up equity share capital for a NIDI company? 10 lakh rupees. Regarding its share structure, what type of shares is a NIDI prohibited from issuing after the commencement of the Act? Preference shares. Under Rule 4, what is the limit for rental income from locker facilities provided by a NIDI company? 20% of the gross income of the NIDI at any point of time during a financial year. What mandatory suffix must every NIDI company include in its name? NIDI Limited. Under Rule 5, what is the minimum number of members a NIDI must ensure it has within 1 year of incorporation? 200. What is the minimum required amount for net owned funds (NOF) that a NIDI must maintain under Rule 9? 20 lakh rupees. Under Rule, what is the maximum permissible ratio of net owned funds to deposits for a NIDI? 120. What percentage of outstanding deposits must a NIDI keep as unencumbered term deposits in a scheduled commercial bank? 10%. Which form is used by a NIDI to file its return of statutory compliances within 90 days of the close of the first financial year? Form NDH1. Under Rule, to which official must a NIDI apply for an extension of time if it fails to meet the 200-member requirement? The regional director. Under Rule 6, NIDIs are strictly prohibited from opening which type of account with their members? Current accounts. Under Rule IA, NIDIs are prohibited from carrying on which specific financial business involving installment credit? Hire purchase finance. Regarding external funding, what is a NIDI prohibited from doing for the purpose of advancing loans to its members? Raising loans from banks or financial institutions. What is the minimum nominal value required for equity shares issued by a NIDI company? 10 rupees each. Under Rule 7, what is the minimum number of equity shares a NIDI must allot to each deposit holder? 10 equity shares or shares equivalent to 100 rupees. Which specific entities are prohibited from being admitted as members of a NIDI? Body corporates or trusts. Under Rule 8, what is the restriction on a member transferring their shareholding while a loan or deposit is subsisting? They shall not transfer more than 50% of their shareholding. What is the maximum permissible period for which a NIDI can accept fixed deposits? 60 months. Under Rule 13, what is the minimum duration for which a NIDI may accept a recurring deposit? 12 months. What is the maximum balance in a savings deposit account that qualifies for interest in a NIDI? 1 lakh rupees. The interest rate on a NIDI's savings bank account cannot exceed % above the rate offered by nationalist banks. 2. What is the interest rate cap for NIDI's fixed and recurring deposits compared to NBFC public deposit rates? It shall not exceed the maximum rate prescribed by the Reserve Bank of India for NFS. Under Rule, what is the lockout period during which a NIDI is prohibited from repaying any deposit? 3 months from the date of its acceptance. If a depositor requests repayment between 3 and 6 months from the date of deposit, what interest is the NIDI required to pay? None. In the case of premature repayment of a deposit, by what percentage is the ordinary interest rate reduced? 2%. To whom can a NITI provide loans under rule? Only to its members. What is the maximum loan amount a NITI can provide to a member if the total deposits of the NITI are less than 2 crore rupees? 2 lakh rupees. What is the loan limit for a member of a NITI whose total deposits exceed 50 crore rupees? 15 lakh rupees. If a NITI has failed to make profits for preceding financial years, it must not grant fresh loans exceeding 50% of the standard limits. 3. What is the maximum repayment period for a NITI loan secured by gold, silver, or jewelry? 1 year. What is the maximum repayment period for a NITI loan secured by immovable property? 7 years. Under Rule 16, what is the maximum interest rate a NITI can charge on a loan relative to its highest deposit rate? 7.5% above the highest rate of interest offered on deposits. What mandatory accounting method must a NITI use to calculate interest on its loans? Reducing balance method. What is the maximum consecutive tenure a director can serve on the board of a NITI? 10 years. After ceasing to be a director of a NITI, how long is the cooling-off period before reappointment is permitted? 2 years. What is the maximum annual dividend percentage a NITI company is permitted to declare? 25%. Under Rule 19, what is the maximum term for an individual auditor in a NITI company? 1 term of 5 consecutive years. How many terms of 5 years can an audit firm serve in a NITI before it must rotate out? 2 terms. Which form must a NITI company use to file its half-yearly return with the registrar? Form NDH3. Within how many days of the conclusion of each half-year must a NITI file Form NDH3? 30 days. Under Rule 22, where must the auditor's certificate of compliance be annexed? To the audit report. What is the general penalty for a NITI company that contravenes the NITI rules, 2014, where no other penalty is specified? A fine of up to 5,000 rupees plus 500 rupees per day for continuing defaults. What is the definition of a loss asset in the context of NITI company borrow accounts? An asset that has been non-performing for more than 3 years or is deemed unrecoverable by the board. Under Rule 3, how is a substandard asset defined for a NITI? A borrow account, which is a non-performing asset. For how many months must interest or loan installments remain unrealized for an account to be classified as a non-performing asset by a NITI? 12 months. Under section, if a company is regulator approved but fails to enclose that approval with its strike-off application, what is the status of the application? The application is invalid. In a NITI, if a member has defaulted on an earlier loan, are they eligible for a fresh loan? No, they are ineligible for any further loan. Under Rule, what phrasing must be used on FD scheme details circulated by a NITI to avoid being classified as a prohibited advertisement? For private circulation to members only,